pass on your port side.
There should be a ship heading right for us from the port side. Okay, we're underway to Santa Cruz Island from our slip, and this is our first outing on Liberty Call. So we spent the night here last night and woke up and shoved off kind of deal, and everything's going great except for there's no wind and the visibility sucks, but it's whatever. We can motor. It's only 17.4 miles away, so we'll get there shortly. This is Rendezvous with the Ramey family. The girls and I are a throuple on board our Alberg 30 Liberty Call. We're exploring the West Coast and all the Channel Islands. This is Chapter 1. We're dropping our hooks at all the cool spots as we save up every penny to move on board our forever boat. Welcome aboard. A very thick marine layer settled in overnight, and as we woke up on Liberty Call and made our pre-departure checks, I couldn't help but wonder if it was still a good idea to shove off with no wind and no visibility. My other boat, Risque, had an outboard motor that hung down aft of the rudder. Liberty Call had an inboard marine diesel engine with a skeg-hung rudder, and of course the propeller was forward of that rudder, allowing me to finally use techniques called prop walk and prop wash, which are things that are helpful in areas that require tight maneuvering. But given that I can never really use those techniques until right now, I wasn't too great at it. I can't hear you. You're facing our way.
I guess I could allow myself a little bit of grace for this terrible example of getting out of my own slip, because it's the first time I've ever done it. It's also only the third time I've ever been on Liberty Call. The first time was when I test sailed her during the purchasing process. And then again, when we sailed her from Ventura Harbor to Oxnard, which is Channel Island Harbor Marina. That's her new home. That's also the only other time I've ever been in this harbor, and if I'm being honest here, most of that time was spent in the office filling out paperwork for insurance purposes. The third time I was ever on Liberty Call was last night, when the girls and I spent the night on board so we can get up early and shove off. The morning fog here helped me realize that I have no idea where anything is in this harbor. I'm feeling very disoriented, and again, I'm second guessing whether I should delay departure until this fog burns off. I'm also not very familiar with the boat itself. The day that I test sailed her, there was no wind and swell, so running up the sails that day was simply a check of the running rigging. That doesn't really count for much. The day that I sailed her here, to her new home, we did manage to catch a favorable wind, a really nice 8-knot apparent on a perfect beam reach starboard tack all the way here. And that's the only time I've ever actually used the running rigging for what it was for. I felt like I had a lot of things to get used to all at once, inside of a place that I wasn't very familiar with at all. And I guess the fog made it look exactly how I felt already. But a smooth sea never really made a skillful sailor, and I am getting exactly what I've been asking for a while. A challenge. Sailing on the lake was easy and safe, and as I shoved off, my anxiety was making it very obvious what the biggest difference between lake sailing and sailing on the ocean actually was. Lake sailing is sailing without the consequences of poor planning. The years I spent on Millerton Lake made me feel like a boat owner for sure, but these few moments, getting out of my own slip and maneuvering Liberty Call through my own harbor, was the first time I've actually felt like a skipper, and it's a big difference in responsibility already. I felt like I had the children's schoolyard version of sailing all down, and I'd finally gotten to the university level. And this was my day one. No wind, no visibility. Just an overwhelming urge to finally sail to a place I've never seen before, on waters I've never been on.
previous owner, Jeff, is a meticulous man, and that's just from lots of time in the military. He definitely has the mindset to maintain and keep a boat well kept. So I'm not too concerned about any negligence on the boat. Jeff just did a great job maintaining this thing and improving it. He probably doubled its value as far as I'm concerned. But there's things I need to get familiar with. Fucking heading out in the fog here. This dude, I mean, you're supposed to reduce your speed in the fog. This dude is just right here. Came right out of the mist, heading right on us, man. He had to adjust his course. He's probably doing 15, 20 knots. Little fishing boat. It's an easy trip out to the Channel Islands. It's just about 20 miles to the closest one from my slip. But you got to keep your head on a swivel out here. It's just no joke. So being out here like this in the fog, it really reminds me of the Wanda Fuca when I was deckhanding for a buddy of mine named William. That guy was nuts, man. He was a blast to hang out with. He was great company. But he did that whole trip barefoot. It was just weird. And I didn't realize, there's a lot of stuff to pay attention to in the fog like this. It's just, you're kind of on constant lookout. You're always looking for stuff on the AIS and all that stuff. But so I never noticed the fact that he was barefoot the entire time. Like the whole week we were like shoving off from port to port. Like this dude didn't have shoes on. He was wearing like 3 pairs of socks. And I asked him about it finally, and he looked me dead in the eye and goes, "I didn't think it was gonna be cold." I don't know. Just made me think about that. So whenever it's foggy and I'm on a boat and I can't see nothing all the way around me in every direction. I mean, look at this. I mean, nothing. Whenever it's like that, man, I think of William Deadman sailing barefoot into the fog in the Wanda Fuca. I don't know if you guys can, I don't know. I'm sorry about all the water drops. It's just condensation. Nothing I can do. That's another boat coming. Sorry. Yeah, that's another boat coming. I think we're gonna pass port to port, but he's roughly 2 miles out. I can't see him yet, but I got him on radar. But he doesn't have me on radar, so yeah, we're kind of running incognito. Not by choice, it's just how it works out. His boat's registered, mine's not. So I'm gonna have to look out for him a little bit more. He's looking out. Another thing that I really like, a big improvement in quality of life on board for me now that I'm off of Risque and onto Liberty Call, is the additional crew. So, but I'm not talking about hammered. I'm talking about autopilot. So, having autopilot on board is absolutely a game changer, and I can't go back. So, once again, I don't want to talk too much about my last trip out at sea up in the Pacific Northwest, but we did that whole thing with no autopilot, and that was a chore. That was a mistake, is what it was. But now that I have one here, this is just amazing. So are you gonna brave below deck?
I'm not right now. But I mean, I eventually have to go under there, but I'm doing great. I don't feel bad at all.
Yeah, me either. A lot of people get super uneasy for like the first 3 days.
Yeah. Well, these patches seem to be working.
Yeah, these patches are money.
Yeah. So. Is this how it's going to be when we anchor down like this?
No.
No.
No, I mean, it's, you know what, I can't say for certain, but it really just depends on where the wind's coming from.
Okay.
And do you know what windward and leeward means?
You teach me.
Yeah. So we're going to be on the leeward side of the island in a cove, a little harbor called Smugglers Cove, or Smugglers Harbor. And the reason I'm picking that one is because the wind will be blocked by the island. You see it yet?
Ship?
Yeah, this guy just came right out of the fog, right out of nowhere. And with the heading that intersected ours, probably right at the perfect time. Thought it just kept doing 6-7 knots, we'd be smacking into the starboard side of him.
Is that a working boat?
Yeah. Gotta keep watch out here, especially in the fog.
I had been dodging boats in the fog for a few hours now, and even though I felt like I was doing a good job, I certainly also felt like a new and nervous skipper. When the sun finally started to burn the fog away, I was pretty relieved about it. And as soon as it lifted, I finally saw it, Santa Cruz Island. A place I had never been before.
I was kind of hoping that this is what would happen. The fog's picked up, it's starting to lift. The sun's starting to come out right when we get here, and there's not another boat to be seen. So this is pretty ideal conditions.
There's like 2 babies and a mama.
This is the very first time I sailed my family to somewhere new. I had finally achieved something I had been thinking about for years while stuck on my little lake. This is a milestone on our path towards this type of life.
It is kind of cool to see a part of California I've never seen before.